If you saw the first video, you have already heard about the coaching facet involving teamwork, mentorship, and personal growth. So let's switch gears and let me tell you a different story about how, long before I ever picked up a coach's clipboard, another side of me was forming. One covered in grease, racing fuel, and the smell of rubber. My dad was a racer through and through. He lived for the symphony 8 cylinders could produce, and the smell of lightly roasted tires over the fire. Some kids grew up around toys and cartoons. I grew up around torque wrenches and timing lights. When I was little, I'd hand him tools in the garage, learning the difference between a wrench and a ratchet, between a 3/16 and a 5/8, learning how air, fuel, compression, and spark could create that little boom that makes the car go vroom. Things got serious around the age 13 when my dad moved into the NASCAR late model series. That's when I started paying attention to details, how ignition timing, cam lift, compression ratios, and fuel mixture create power, and how suspension geometry, spring rates, camber, caster, toe, rake, and stagger affect handling. I was hands-on with the car in the shop, but too young to join the fun at the track. I could only watch from the stands. In 1997, when I was 16, things got real. I was old enough to be an official member of the team, in the pits, in the heat of the action. This was when my dad made the switch to the NASCAR Speed Truck Series. This was go time. Hard work, long days, late nights, busted knuckles, literal blood, sweat, and tears, and I loved every minute of it. My role quickly evolved into full vehicle maintenance, crash repair, suspension adjuster, redneck aerodynamicist, and the best darn rear gear changer this side of the Mississippi. But the focus of this story was my role as the team's tire specialist. The role of tire specialist didn't initially exist on our team. I took it upon myself to start logging tire data, temperatures, heat cycle, size difference, compounds, and wear patterns. I wanted to truly understand each tire, to tell its story and predict its future. That small decision turned out to be huge. It instantly made a difference. Our lap times improved and our tires lasted longer. The more I tracked, the more the team realized just how critical tire management was. In racing, some people say the engine is the heart of the car, but the truth is the tires are the soul. They're the only thing actually touching the track. This is literally where the rubber meets the road. You can have the best engine, the best suspension, or the best driver in the world, but if the tires aren't right, the other pieces of the puzzle just can't fit into place. I didn't realize it then, but this was my first true analytical job. I was gathering data, making decisions, and using logic to improve performance and maximize investment. Because tires aren't cheap. And I was managing 5 sets. That's 20 wheels and tires. That's a lot of data. I had to determine which tires were best for practice, which ones for qualifying, and which had enough life left for race day. Which tires would be the left front, which for the right rear, and in circle track racing, that's beyond critical. But it was tough. Keep in mind, this was the late 90s, and I was in my late teens. We didn't have smartphones or specialized software. I tracked everything on paper, notebooks full of scribbles and smudges. Until one night, flipping through greasy pages, I had an aha moment. What if I used that computer thingy over there, you know, the one that I used AOL to chat with girls on, and used it to track tire data? So I did. I built my very first spreadsheet. Converting those notes into digital data opened up a whole new world. I could see history at a glance, spot trends, and even predict a tire that was about to fall off. Falling off is when a tire still had rubber, but it was no longer competitive. Those made great practice tires. I could make race day recommendations based on data, not gut feeling. It got to the point I wasn't recommending anymore. I was telling. Put left set 3 and right set 5 on. Increase the cross weight by 1% and lower the panhard bar 5 degrees. If she breaks loose on corner exit, we'll lower the pinion bar a bit. And that was it. The spark that lit the path I'm still on today. Looking back, those years taught me more than just how to turn a wrench. They taught me dedication, discipline, focus, precision, trial and error, cause and effect, resource management, and the power of taking the initiative. My dad used to say, "We may not be able to outdollar them, but we can outthink them." And that stuck with me ever since. My dad retired from racing in 2002 when I was 21, and I went on to build my own cars, always taking an analytical approach. Years later, when I built the Super Miata, I was building to a strict class rules. One of those rules didn't allow for wings, but it did allow for rear spoilers. It was common to see the same cookie-cutter design on most cars, the go-to spoiler that everyone copied. I started fabricating that same spoiler, but I caught myself challenging the rules. The rule stated a spoiler could be no wider than the widest part of the car and could not extend past the rearmost part of the body. I couldn't understand why all the spoilers out there were built the way they were, so I pushed the width out to the widest part of the car and extended it as low as I could. The result was this wild-looking spoiler with far more surface area, sitting in what should be cleaner airflow. I'm no aerodynamicist, and I definitely don't have a wind tunnel, but based on what I do know about airflow, this should be a noticeable improvement. Within 6 months, many other cars in the class adopted my spoiler design. The core values my dad taught me of outthinking them really stuck. Whether I'm tuning a race car or analyzing a complex system at work, the mindset is the same. Slow down enough to understand what's really happening, then go full throttle towards a solution.